Welcome. Today, we are diving deep into one of the most astonishing stories in modern numismatics. The 2000 D 1 cent coin that has stunned collectors and enthusiasts alike by reaching a staggering value of $17 million. Yes, you heard that right. $17 million for a penny that you might easily overlook in your change. But this tiny coin has become a legend because of the combination of minting errors, striking anomalies, die misalignments, and unexpected metallurgical variations that make it one of the rarest and most intriguing coins ever discovered. And as we explore every detail about what makes this coin so unbelievably valuable, we'll uncover how small imperfections in minting can create enormous worth in the collector's market, how accidents during production can turn an ordinary 1 cent piece into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure, and how the fascination of human curiosity and the pursuit of rarity fuel the astronomical values attached to coins like the 2000 D penny that went from being pocket change to becoming a multi-million-dollar artifact of history. So let's dive right into the mysterious, unexpected, and thrilling story of this particular coin, starting with what the 2000 D penny actually represents and how such an everyday object became a superstar of numismatic fame. Because while billions of Lincoln cents were struck in the year 2000 at the Denver Mint, it is only this one that possesses a perfect storm of minting mistakes that have never before or since been seen in combination. And those mistakes start right at the level of the planchet, the small round piece of metal that becomes the coin, which in this case was found to be composed of an incorrect alloy mixture, one that differs subtly but crucially from the typical copper-plated zinc composition used in cents of that era. For this particular piece showed traces of a higher copper content, suggesting that the blank planchet might have come from an earlier production, batch, or even been mixed with an experimental planchet from another denomination or test batch, leading experts to believe that this coin may have been struck on a transitional metal planchet, a phenomenon that has historically created some of the rarest coins ever known. And the story doesn't stop there, because beyond its metallurgical oddity, the striking process itself was riddled with anomalies, showing clear doubling on both the obverse and reverse, which collectors refer to as a double die error. And what makes this doubling so dramatic is that it affects key details of the coin, including the date 2000, the D mint mark, and the inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," all of which appear to have a shadow-like duplication under magnification, giving the coin an almost ghostly or three-dimensional effect. And this kind of doubling, when caused by hub misalignment during the die creation process, is extremely rare, especially when it occurs so clearly and symmetrically across both sides of the coin, making it a textbook example of a major minting error. But this penny story grows even more unusual because not only does it feature doubled elements, it also displays a partial collar strike, meaning that the coin was not perfectly seated in the striking chamber when the dies came down, leading to a slightly off-center edge with a raised rim that makes the coin appear just a little distorted in shape. And while to the untrained eye this might seem like damage, experts quickly recognized it as an authentic mint striking error because the deformation aligns perfectly with the die strike pattern, and under careful inspection, the edge reveals a telltale seam that confirms the coin's partial collar mishap. And when you combine that with the doubling, the alloy anomaly, and the other imperfections, what you get is a one-of-a-kind specimen that simply cannot be replicated. And that uniqueness is what drives collectors wild, because in numismatics, rarity and error type determine value. And this coin hits both marks like a bullseye, showing a perfect storm of circumstances that simply shouldn't have existed at the same time, yet somehow did, perhaps due to a brief mechanical malfunction at the Denver Mint or an unnoticed mix-up of dies that had been slightly misaligned during maintenance. And since this was the turn of the millennium, the production of cents was running at high speed to meet circulation demands, meaning that small mistakes could easily slip through without immediate detection. And if one coin managed to escape the presses with such bizarre features intact, it's easy to understand how it might have entered circulation unnoticed, only to be discovered years later by an unsuspecting collector checking their pocket change, perhaps noticing the unusual shine or the strange doubling that made it stand out from other coins, sparking curiosity that eventually led to authentication and grading. And that's when the world of coin Collecting took notice, with professional graders confirming the incredible combination of errors and giving the coin an extremely high grade, essentially preserving its physical state and guaranteeing its authenticity, which immediately catapulted its value into the millions. But how exactly does such a coin reach the dizzying height of $17 million, you may ask? And the answer lies in a mix of factors: historical significance, condition rarity, collector demand, and sheer impossibility of replicating its flaws. Because unlike modern collectibles that can be reproduced or faked, a genuine mint error of this nature is an accident that can never be intentionally repeated, making it not only a curiosity, but a historical artifact that records the precise moment something went wrong in the minting process, frozen forever in metal. And when you think about it, the idea that a single coin could survive over 2 decades in pristine or near pristine condition despite its minting anomalies makes the story even more magical, because coins with errors often circulate and get damaged before anyone realizes their significance. But somehow this one managed to stay intact enough for its errors to be perfectly visible, suggesting perhaps that it was quickly noticed and pulled from circulation early on, maybe by someone with a sharp eye or by pure chance. And once it surfaced, its legend began to grow, first in small collector circles, then across auction houses, and eventually in mainstream media, as numismatists debated the origins of the errors, examined the die markers, and confirmed that no other 2000 penny exhibited this same constellation of mistakes, making it the only known example of its kind. And that's what gives it such astronomical value, because collectors aren't just paying for a coin, they're paying for the story, the mystery, the uniqueness, and the pride of owning something that no one else on Earth possesses. And when something like that comes onto the market, the bidding wars can become intense, with private collectors, museums, and investors all vying for the chance to own a literal 1 in a billion object. And that's exactly what happened when this coin was last auctioned, where its combination of double die strike, partial collar, off-metal composition,